Hey, have you ever felt like your spiritual life is a real journey? With these incredible high points and some really devastating lows? Well, today, we're diving into 5 Psalms that, when you put them together, they create this amazing roadmap of that exact journey. We're going to see how a really private, internal struggle can grow into this huge, public celebration of faith.
All right, so here's the path we're going to walk. We'll follow these 5 key stages. It all starts with a super personal prayer for a guarded heart. Then it drops into the loneliness of isolation. From that low point, it turns into a desperate plea for guidance, which then totally transforms into a powerful song of victory. And it all crescendos into this timeless, universal song of praise. It's really the whole journey of the soul right here.
Okay, so our journey kicks off in a really intimate place. The first struggle isn't with some big external enemy. Nope, it's an internal one, the battle for personal purity and self-control.
Just think about that for a second. Out of everything the psalmist could have asked for, where does he begin? With his own mouth, with his words. It's this deep realization that the first, and let's be honest, often the hardest spiritual battle, is the one we fight with ourselves. It's admitting a total dependence on God for something as basic as self-control.
So if you break it down, this prayer is kind of like a 3-step process. First, it's about controlling what we say. Then it goes even deeper, asking for a heart that doesn't even have wrong desires. And finally, it asks for protection from the bad choices and influence of others. It's a really complete prayer for a strong moral compass, and the whole thing relies on a higher power.
So, what's the big takeaway here? This psalm is basically saying that the real starting point of any spiritual journey is asking for help to get out of our own way. It's about realizing that true holiness isn't always about big, grand gestures, but about the small, daily discipline of your heart and your mouth.
Okay, so let's move to the next stage, and this feels like a dramatic drop. The struggle now shifts from that internal temptation to the crushing external reality of despair, of being abandoned, and just feeling profoundly alone.
And this just perfectly captures the tension at the heart of Psalm 142. On one side, you've got this raw, painful honesty. My spirit was overwhelmed. No one cared about me. But right next to it, there's this unshakable declaration of faith. You are my refuge. It's despair and hope literally being held in the very same breath.
What this psalm really does is it gives us permission to be completely, brutally honest with God about our pain and our loneliness. It shows that even in those moments when we feel totally forgotten, faith is the act of declaring that God is our ultimate hope, our true sanctuary.
So, from this place of distress, this honest complaint, the prayer starts to evolve. It's not just a cry for help anymore. It's become a humble, earnest plea for direction and for deliverance.
Wow. This right here is such a powerful moment of surrender. The psalmist isn't just asking for rescue from the situation, but for clear guidance through it. It's this incredible admission of weakness, a way of saying, I have no idea which way to go on my own.
And what a metaphor, right? This paints such a vivid picture. It expresses a deep, desperate, life-or-death longing for God's presence. It's the feeling of a soul that knows it's completely barren, realizing that without God, it's just us. The need isn't casual, it's absolutely essential for survival.
The key takeaway here is that turning to God is way more than just asking for mercy. It's about developing a deep thirst for His presence and actively seeking His moment-by-moment guidance in our lives. That humility is what opens the door to direction.
And now, everything changes. The whole tone of this journey just flips on a dime. The desperation and the thirst of the last couple of Psalms, they give way to this confident, powerful declaration of God's strength and the victory that He brings.
This verse is a total game changer. God is no longer just a refuge to hide in. Now He's the very source of strength, the one who actively equips the psalmist for life's battles. It's a huge shift from defense to offense, from just trying to survive to actually conquering.
This whole psalm is built on this incredible contrast between our human weakness. It describes man as being like a puff of air, and God's unbelievable might. All success, all security, all victory is credited directly to Him, the one who grants deliverance.
So this teaches us a really vital lesson. God doesn't just watch our struggles from a distance. He's right there, actively equipping us for them. And this idea stretches from the individual all the way to the entire community, suggesting that a nation is truly blessed when it recognizes God as the source of its strength and its victory.
And that brings us to the final stage of the journey, the grand finale.
The focus now expands way beyond personal needs and battles, and it becomes this universal, eternal, and absolutely magnificent hymn of praise to God Himself.
You can immediately feel the shift, right? The prayer is no longer about me and my problems. It's a straight-up declaration of who God is. The psalmist just lists these incredible qualities: His grace, compassion, mercy, goodness, and righteousness. The focus is completely on His amazing, unchanging character.
And just look at the incredible scope here. It's not talking about some temporary or limited kingdom. This is about an everlasting kingdom, one whose rule lasts throughout all generations. The praise here isn't just for this moment, it's for all of time, past, present, and future. So, worship becomes two things here. It's a daily, personal commitment. Every day I will bless you. But it's also a shared legacy, a responsibility to pass the story of God's greatness on to the next generation.
This is it. The magnificent conclusion. The journey that started with one person's private struggle for self-control now just explodes into this grand, inclusive, cosmic invitation for all of creation to join in an endless symphony of praise.
And so, this whole journey, from the inner life all the way to the ends of the universe, leaves us with a question. As we take our place in this timeless story of faith and struggle, of victory and praise, what legacy of worship will we leave for the generation that comes after us?